Hey there, explorers! Welcome back to our channel, where we delve deep into the teachings and principles of Christianity and embark on a transformative journey through the realms of faith and spirituality. Today, we're tackling a fascinating topic: the significance of the number 13 in the Bible. Throughout history, many have labeled 13 as an unlucky or cursed number. But is that really what Scripture tells us? Numbers are a universal language woven into our daily routines, and they are often used as symbolic markers throughout Scripture. We can forget that numbers themselves aren't random. They were created by God with very real and precise purposes. The number 13 appears multiple times in the Bible, and its significance isn't about bad luck at all. Instead, it points us to deeper truths about change, rebellion, promises, and redemption. The first place where 13 appears in the Bible is Genesis chapter 14 verse 4, referencing a rebellion. After 12 years of serving King Chedorlaomer, several cities, including Sodom, rebelled in the 13th year. This event highlights a pivotal shift, the concept of rebellion set against the backdrop of God's promise to bring restoration. It doesn't immediately label 13 as sinister. Rather, it reveals how a moment of upheaval can become the stage where God demonstrates His power and fulfills His will. The New Testament also connects the number 13 to a profound moment, the Last Supper. Jesus dined with His 12 disciples, making Judas the 13th person present. Judas would betray Him, setting the stage for Jesus' suffering and crucifixion the following day. The number 13 here isn't a curse, but a spotlight on a divine plan that unfolds through human actions. It marks the darkest betrayal, yet it leads to the greatest redemptive act in history: the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ. In multiple instances, the number 13 relates to rebellion. We see it in Genesis chapter 14 verse 4 with the revolt against a foreign king. But we also find other examples. Israel's tribes, after Joseph received a double portion for his two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, there were effectively 13 tribes of Israel. This arrangement, where Levi received no land inheritance, is sometimes seen as a symbol of Israel's divided heart, torn between obedience to God and the pull of the flesh. Jericho's destruction: the Israelites marched around Jericho once a day for 6 days and 7 times on the 7th day, totaling 13 marches before the walls fell. Romans 1. In this chapter, the Apostle Paul lists 23 characteristics of those with a debased mind, and hatred of God appears as the 13th trait. At the same time, 13 marks an important threshold in Jewish culture. A boy traditionally takes on religious obligations at age 13 through a bar mitzvah. While this isn't rebellion in the negative sense, it is a significant transition from childhood to adult accountability. This further underscores 13 as a marker of change, a move into new responsibilities and phases of life. The Old Testament gives other examples as well. Ishmael was circumcised at 13, contrasting with Isaac's circumcision at 8 days. King Solomon took 13 years to build his palace, a monumental display of wealth and responsibility bestowed upon him by God. Jeremiah began his ministry in the 13th year of King Josiah's reign, after Josiah had already initiated religious reforms in his 12th year. These moments aren't ominous signs of bad fortune. Rather, they highlight significant transitions or pivotal acts that shape biblical history. It's important, then, to realize the Bible never labels 13 as purely negative. Instead, it's often associated with times of movement, faith testing, or redirection. Think of the story of Abraham, who was promised descendants as numerous as the stars. He and Sarah waited for years to see the fulfillment of that promise. Within that waiting and struggle, elements of the number 13 appear, representing the human experience of wrestling with doubt, faith, and divine timing. Some people view repeated sightings of certain numbers as angel numbers, moments where God or His messengers are trying to capture our attention. While the Bible doesn't specifically talk about angel numbers in modern terms, it does show that God can speak through signs, visions, or patterns that draw us closer to Him. Seeing 13 repeatedly might be one such sign, encouraging us to prepare for change, transition, and renewal. God uses events that appear chaotic or even rebellious to highlight His sovereign work and redemptive plan. You may wonder if 13 is truly unlucky, especially given cultural superstitions and stories like Friday the 13th. Superstition often persists because of confirmation bias. Once we decide that 13 is unlucky, we look for any negative event around that number to reinforce our belief. However, the biblical narrative redirects us to a far greater truth. Each time 13 appears, it's intertwined with the power of God's promises and the reality of human decision. It reveals that our lives aren't governed by random chance, but by a God who can transform even difficult moments into pathways for blessing. This transformative power of God applies not just to scriptural events, but also to our everyday lives. Perhaps you've been seeing 13 repeatedly in situations involving relationships or finances. Rather than fearing it, consider that it might signal a fresh start or an invitation to trust God more deeply. In relationships, the number 13 can inspire a renewed commitment to honest communication and growth. In work and finance, it may be time to step into a new opportunity or reevaluate your current path. Whatever the case, the number 13 can be seen as a divine reminder of change and God's accompanying grace.
Ultimately, the number 13 in the Bible doesn't symbolize doom or misfortune. It highlights covenant, human responsibility, rebellion, and redemption, all converging in God's sovereign plan. If you notice 13 in your life, pray for insight. Ask how you can align yourself more closely with God's will during this phase of transition. The guiding principle is that God weaves meaning even into what seems small or random. He is more than capable of turning what looks like rebellion or chaos into a story of redemption and promise. As you reflect on this, remember that the angels or messengers of God are always watching over you, ready to guide and protect. If the number 13 keeps drawing your attention, do not fear. Instead, see it as a prompt to lean into prayer, seek God's direction, and trust in His redemptive purposes. In His perfect timing, what appears daunting can become a testimony of transformation and fulfillment. The power of 13, as shown in the Bible, is a testament to God's eternal work in and through our lives. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to our channel for more content like this and sharing it with fellow Christians seeking a mindful connection with God. Don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video helpful, and feel free to leave a comment below to share your thoughts with us. Remember, the number 13 in the Bible is far more than a superstition. It's a beautiful reminder of God's timing, His promises, and our part in receiving them. If you see 13 showing up in your life, take heart. It could be a gentle nudge toward new growth, divine guidance, or reassurance of God's unfailing grace. Stay blessed and see you next time.